everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast and our prep report today with Kevin Mulder of PBR Missouri. Kevin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brian?
Good to see you. It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been a little while, yeah.
We've kind of been running around the country. I know you've been running around the state, and but we're back. We're ready to talk a little baseball, yeah?
Can't beat it. Yes, sir.
Folks, want to also encourage you, as always, YBMcast is powered by Game 7 Baseball. Go to game7baseball.com. Get into your fall tournaments there. They got some great stuff still finishing up through October. So don't miss out. I think there's still some left here in September. So don't miss out. Game7baseball.com. Dave and Dave getting it done in the fall season. Also, please subscribe if you like what we're doing. If you want to see Kevin's smiling face more, hit that subscribe button. Hit the dinger. Get your notifications for upcoming episodes. We appreciate your support. And let's get into it. Kevin, you just had an event that you were at, a JuCo event. Kind of explain what we got going on there, man.
Yeah, last Friday over at Creekside Baseball Complex in Kansas City, we hosted pretty much most of the top Midwestern JuCos in the country. So in the Midwest, we had Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Nebraska, and we basically had the top teams from those states, and had a really good JuCo event. It was the first year of the event. Had over 110 coaches and pro scouts there, and saw some really high end stuff. So it was great turnout, and it was fun getting to see the level of guy that was on display there that on Friday.
So what brought about we were talking before we started here, JuCos. There's kind of, it's kind of like when people talk about NAIA baseball, it's just kind of this unknown. What is it about? Is it real baseball? Is it, what does that do to my chances? Right.
Right. Yeah. And I would say there's more junior college baseball players than there are at any other level of college baseball. So it's a great route, and this Friday just kind of put it under a magnifying glass, if you will, and was a showcase of the top talent and the top teams. But it kind of just goes to show, it can be a great route for people to go. There was a ton of pro guys there. There was countless guys throwing well over 90 miles per hour. There was a guy, Jacob Mizorowski, over at Crowder Community College, was up to 98 miles per hour at the event. Saw multiple guys throwing 93, 94, really good, talented hitters, and with plus athletes, good runners. So, it's just a confirmation for people, in my opinion, or should be, that if you don't get to sign at that big SEC school right out of high school, all is not lost. You can still be a really, really good baseball player. Just in our state, Albert Pujols played at Maple Woods Community College. David Freese played at St. Louis Community College. Mark Burley played at JuCo. So those are big time names. MLB All-Stars, Pujols obviously a Hall of Famer, and they were playing junior college baseball. So just kind of goes to show you that it can be a great route. For those guys out there that, might not be getting the 4-year interest, or, maybe even are getting a little 4-year interest, but are kind of interested in playing, getting on the field as a freshman as opposed to sitting the bench for a couple of years. Junior college baseball, I'm a huge proponent of.
I think there's a great point that you made there. Sometimes how many guys, we've talked about this, how many guys are ahead of you on that roster at that Division I program? Especially, say, if you're a middle infielder, you might have, could be 5, 6, 7, 8 dudes in front of you. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
and, think about it from a high school perspective. Ask yourself this: did you start varsity as a freshman? You probably didn't start until your junior year. Maybe if you were a stud, you started as a sophomore. Same thing happens when you go to college. Just because you were the man in high school, the best player in the district or whatever, well, so was everyone else on your team when you get to college, except for 3/4 of them are older than you. You got your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior divided by 20. So it's a good thing to remember. A lot of guys get a wake-up call when they get into college baseball. And, the best way to combat that or educate yourself, go watch some college baseball. Go watch one of the great Division II programs in our area. Go watch Maryville. Go watch Lindenwood. I'm leaving people out. Go watch St. Louis U play baseball. Go watch Jeffco or St. Charles or St. Louis Community College play baseball. Go watch Missouri Baptist if you want to watch an IA program. You most likely will be very surprised on how small the difference is between St. Louis U and Missouri Baptist. Or one of the junior colleges is. It's hard to tell from the untrained eye. You're going to see big physical guys that can really swing the bat. You're going to see power arms on the mound. You're going to see guys that have a feel for how to play the game. So that's a great thing for a high school age player, and even younger, to go see these guys, to understand what you're getting yourself into.
I love that. And if you're guys, if people are watching, take that into consideration. Do that. Take that advice, because my eyes were opened because Justin, my son, he played NAIA baseball. And I'm looking at some of these kids, especially they were consistently ranked in the top 10 in the country. Freed Hardeman down out of Tennessee. My goodness. The lineup was a flaming gauntlet. I mean, there wasn't not a dude there. They could hit, they could play ball. They had guys upper 80s into low 90s on their pitching staff. And this is NAIA baseball. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. Well, I didn't think this was, but it always, as you would probably know, it depends on the program too, doesn't it?
Oh, of course. Yeah. There's, I've kind of alluded to it on this show. We are extremely fortunate. We talk about the small schools, and I forgot a level, Division III, Webster University, one of the top D3 schools in the country from a baseball standpoint. You got Wash U. Those are two D3 programs that play at a really high level. So, yeah, it is obviously going to vary program to program, and certain ones do it better than others. But, that's something you can kind of figure out by going to watch them play.
Exactly. So I love that context of JuCo baseball. And, maybe sometimes it's better if you got to work on your grades maybe a little bit. You get to your the JuCo, you can get your general studies out of the way. You just take, as to what program you may be looking at. There's a lot of opportunity there. Yes.
Yeah. I have an associate's degree and a bachelor's and a master's, and nowhere on my bachelor's or master's is there an asterisk that I have found yet that says that I went to a junior college. So, the misconceptions out there that it's bad for you academically, if you're an Ivy League type student, obviously it's probably not for you. If you got one of those opportunities to go to a Wash U or an Ivy League school or a Stanford, then okay. Yeah, then probably you need to be going to one of those opportunities. But for the rest of us, it's a great way to start. You can knock out half your degree, and you get to do it for free. So, Missouri is really fortunate. Kids should take advantage of the Missouri A+. and I would say this to all of them. There's no reason you shouldn't register and sign up with your high school advisor for your Missouri A+ program, even if you're starting at a 4-year school. I coached at junior college, and we would get guys that transferred back to us from 4 years that might not have the Missouri. It's a phenomenal opportunity to take advantage of. It's available for everyone with minimal effort and work on your behalf. You can end up with your first 2 years of college tuition free, basically.
There you go. That's some good advice, folks. I hope people are paying attention. All right, let's move up here. You guys were also you just finished a couple weeks ago at Atkins Field. You had the fall upper class games, and I think you had a couple of different ones there, right? Underclass games as well.
Yeah, we had the Mo underclass and Mo upper class fall games. Yeah, we had about 85 guys between the 2 events, and it was a fun. That's one of the top events. Probably the top event of the fall statewide now. We had some standouts at the event. The underclass guys, I'm getting to learn those 24s and 25s. Believe it or not, Brian. So that's going to be your incoming. Now they're freshmen. They're not incoming. Right, they're just freshmen and sophomores. And I can tell you what, we're going to see some of these guys in the spring. We're going to be talking about them on varsity teams. There's some really good young guys. In the area and across the state. A couple of them just right off the top would be Carson Ramos, a catcher over at Timberland. He's going to be a high-end defensive catcher that'll have a chance to get on the field. Titus Sissel over at Francis Howell. He started varsity
as a freshman.
He's a shortstop, but as you know, they have 2 older guys on the infield, both signed at good colleges, one at Missouri State, one in Lindenwood. And so we have that talk with the young guys too about be a baseball player. Don't be married to a position, because this is going to help you get on the field earlier and a chance to play. And he got to play varsity baseball as a freshman, and one day he will be the starting shortstop, I'd imagine. But he's an impact player. Going to be a really good one. Already is a pretty good one. Leo Humbert over at Francis Howell's an incoming freshman. He's a name that people are going to know here real soon. And then just across, it's not just Missouri or St. Louis. There's a kid named Tyler Wood that's over at Rockhurst. Evan DeMario over at Rockhurst. So there's just great players across the state in that class, and it's been fun kind of getting to identify them and start to know them a little bit.
I think it's cool because you were talking about Ty Sissel. We're going to be doing our player spotlight in November on him. So I'm looking forward to that conversation with Ty.
Great pick.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Start off with.
Yeah, we had a couple weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Jake McCutcheon. We talked with Jake McCutcheon, who's in ahead of him, and it was a wonderful conversation. He's already going to Missouri State, and we got a chance to talk to him about the way that last year finished, and I thought it was interesting getting his take on some of those things. So, it's great that we're able to talk with some of these kids and you've got Ty ranked number 15 overall in the state.
Yes.
And in his class. And so I think that shows a lot. And as you're seeing here, the commitments at that 2024 level already, Tennessee.
So
Arkansas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say this isn't just lip service. That's going to be a really strong class. And this isn't just me saying that to say that something. You can get on here and look that we've got, we got 8 guys committed in the state already in that class. which is incredible. So that is not normal. That means we got some really high-end guys, and these guys are going to some of the biggest schools in the country and Midwest. And, Ty is a guy that, in due time, he'll be committing to a place when it's right for him. But he's going to be a guy that, is going to have a great opportunity to be a college baseball player, I would imagine.
And you're looking, as you said, this is Power 5 stuff other than, and I haven't followed Wichita State as much as I used to. I know they were always a high-end mid-major. How are they in the Missouri Valley? Are they still there?
So what I would term Wichita as a power major. They're not technically in the Power 5. In baseball is a little bit different, in my opinion. So you got your Power 5 schools, and I don't want to name, but there's plenty of non-Power 5 schools that are better than a lot of the Power 5 schools. So like Coastal Carolina won the national championship a couple years ago. Wichita State, we're talking about Devin Wassman, who's 24, committing there. They've been to the College World Series. That's they play in an unbelievable facility that's basically a AA stadium, or looks like a AA stadium, even though it's theirs. That's a power major. That's about as big as it gets. They're a really good program. So
they are. I was in Wichita for a while. I've been in that. Have they rebuilt the stadium, or is it still the same? Is it still X Stadium, Tyler Field?
It's the EC, and they just put $1 million indoor facility next to it, so they got a full field turf infield and hitting cages and everything right on the left field line.
Because I've been up in the Boosters Club on a few occasions up there, and because the people that I work for were friends of the program.
Right. Okay.
So
You're well aware of the sincerity of their program and how the level they play at.
Yeah, and and that was back. That was in the late '90s. Back in that day, they were very good baseball teams, man. And so I like I said, I haven't followed them as much recently, so it was curious but hey, if they get back in, they spend money there because they don't have a football program. And so some of their money gets that way. Got a little off topic there, but hey, there you go. Oh, shoot. But there's so many good players, and we've talked about some of these kids as they were coming in as freshmen, and I think it's really interesting when you're looking at the upper class, though, 2023s, and was it 2023s, 2022s, or is that still underclass?
Yeah. So the upper class games was 22s and 23s.
Okay. And then you got it's interesting to me how I see Missouri producing a lot of Division I talent.
It is. We have, become a highly recruited area, and a lot of our players are moving on, and it's going to vary class to class. It goes in waves a little bit. There's strong classes and a little less strong classes. And, we've talked about this 2023 class being an extremely strong class. We could go down to the number 43rd ranked player in that class. And, the rankings are objective. And if, other baseball guys did these, they'd look slightly different. But it kind of gives you a ballpark idea. The 43rd ranked player in the state is committed to a Division I program. So roughly you can say that we will have around 40 to 45 Division I players out of the state in the 23 class. Now, some guys choose to go to really good D2 schools instead of go to a Division I school. I mean, there's no doubt. I've coached at some of those. Central Missouri is a powerhouse baseball program. So you might see the 28th player in the state ranked that go to Central Missouri. And that doesn't mean, that guy just chose to go to a great baseball program. And so it doesn't necessarily mean, the 42 guys ranked ahead of the 43rd guy are all going to go to Division I schools. That's not what we're saying. But it just kind of gives you a baseline rough idea what type of talent we have in the state. And you can take it down. We'll have good Division II signees down into the 125s, 150s, and junior college players all the way throughout the whole rankings. So, and a lot of times, those guys are just maybe a touch slow in the development and need to add some physical strength. And then 2 years, 3 years down the road, you'll see them throwing 90 miles per hour, where in high school they were throwing 82, 84, and they go to junior college for a couple of years, get in the weight room. Maybe they're that late bloomer guy. And then you see them playing on TV or checking a box score, and they're at one of those powerhouse D2s or D1 programs that we've kind of been talking about.
I think it's very interesting. You see this young man out of Blue Springs South. He's Tommy Lepore, Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one that catches my eye, because that's not really, we see Arkansas, we see Missouri, we see, this. And then the other one, Cameron Poe, Duke, and there's another school like Stanford, that type of thing, right?
So Cameron just committed last weekend, and Cam is I think we've talked about him before. He's a special academic student. He's a high-end academic student, and he had those opportunities. He was talking to some of the Ivy Leagues. I thought he made a really mature decision. He was with us at the Future Games, and more or less every school in the country saw him. There was every single SEC school was there the night he pitched, and he had some of those guys call him. A lot of them call him, and he didn't even take visits to some of them. And if I'm not going to use the schools' names, but the jaw-dropping schools, the top schools in the country, because they weren't the right fit for him. With his academics, and I think he found a great fit in Duke University. That's obviously one of the top academic schools in the country. They play baseball at a really high level. They've been to a super regional within the past couple of years. So that makes me smile, not because he's necessarily going to Duke. I don't care where guys go to school per se, but what I do care about is when guys find that right fit. And I think it's safe to say Cam found that right fit, because he's going to be able to achieve academically at a high level and at a high level on the baseball field. And that's a cool thing when you see a kid find that fit. That's awesome.
I love that, because as I said, you have the one, Caden Wilson at Louisiana State, but those are the ones that kind of, and here another one, kind of off the radar as far as schools, it's New Mexico State.
Yeah. So some of those are family reasons.
Okay.
Jeter Mousy, the guy, the young man going to New Mexico State, I believe his parents, his dad, his work relocated him down there, or is relocating him down there. So they wanted to play close to family. So that one makes sense. Tommy Lepore, the Kansas City area guy, came and did really well at the Future Games this year, and Cincinnati happened to be there to watch him or to watch us. They weren't necessarily watching him and say, "Oh, who's this guy?" And now they got some juice. They're going to be a Big 12 program here in a couple of years, and so he got that opportunity and jumped on it.
I love that thought process. See, and that's where these things really can pay off for these kids. As you said, they came over to watch the team, not necessarily him, but they saw him and they're like, wow, he's impressive. And the opportunity, and I think that's where these kind of games, Kevin, are giving these kids these opportunities to be seen in these other areas, right?
No question. I talk about this all the time when I was a coach, but I'll echo it now. If you're fortunate enough and you're on a high school team with one of these so-called high-end guys, and when I was coaching at JuCo, I always told the guys our strength is our numbers, right? So a school might come over or a pro scout might come over to watch a specific guy. But I can't tell you how many times when I was a coach recruiting that I went to go see someone specific and another guy caught my eye and I ended up recruiting that guy. So, the future games is that multiplied 1,000 times because there's guys all over the place. So they're literally just coming and seeing what catches their eye. And those young men are, some guys that capitalized on the event. Had big weekends down there at Lake Point.
You got coming up, we're going to be out with you guys at GCS Stadium next Tuesday. We're going to broadcast the game live. So if you're watching, coaches, whatnot, what do we expect? What are we expecting out there? What kind of you got two different states coming to play against each other, right?
Yeah, I'm fired up for this event. We got the border battle. So it's Missouri versus Illinois. Now you're going to see mostly local flavor. So it's going to be mostly St. Louis area versus Illinois, St. Louis area kids. But I do know we have a couple Chicago kids coming over. We have some guys from Southern Missouri coming up. And the rosters on this thing are looking really impressive. So they are all uncommitted. So it's going to be a fun event, and I'm looking forward to it. It's our first year doing it, and it's over at GCS Stadium. We're going to do a workout with the guys starting about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Have them run 60s, take BP, put them through a little extended in and out. And then we're going to go to battle with Illinois, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fun evening.
We're looking forward to it. We're going to have, hopefully, I got to confirm this, but we're hoping to have Coach Perkins from Francis Howell High School coming out and talking on the broadcast, talking about the kids, and we're looking forward to it, man. We're looking forward to it. So, finishing up here, though, we're into October. You got an event coming up over here at the Sports Barn, St. Louis Open. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we do our our MoFall upper and underclass games at Atkins Field, and then I have a MoCan event October 10th at Central Missouri, which is Missouri and Kansas players. Really, what that October 24th event at the Sports Barn does is a lot of guys play fall ball, and they'll be at tournaments on the weekend. So it gives just one last opportunity to come to an event in the fall. It's a great way to kind of check out your numbers, where you stack up, your arm strength, 60 time, exit velos, and get on video heading into the winter. And then my thought is, hopefully, what you should be doing from there is maybe taking a step back from the competitive baseball side at that point and getting your butt in the weight room and getting in the cage and working work on the swings, get in the weight room, get stronger, work on your arm and your mobility on the pitching side, and get after it for a good 3 months. You're going November, December, January, and then maybe come back out in February, right before high school, and let's see how your numbers have improved. And it's kind of a great way to measure yourself, because you put in all that hard work. Sometimes you don't realize the gains you're making if you don't measure at times. So it's a fun way to kind of keep track of yourself.
I think, and this is a great point. I was talking to Coach Russ Hill over at Fort Zumwalt East, and they're talking about how they do a similar thing with their kids. and their tracking and whatnot. So all the information you can get about where you're at a particular moment, how are you progressing, I think is so important for your growth and understanding where you're at a particular point, what you need to work on. How do I work? I think that's educating yourself in how do I get better? And if you don't understand where your weaknesses, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, I can focus on my weaknesses while continuing to build my strengths, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important for these kids and what's coming up in their futures if they're looking to get to that next level. It's so important. Kevin, man, it's always fun.
Yeah, good time of it. It's been too long, and been busy, but we're gonna go out and see a lot more players over the next couple of weeks, and look forward to circling back and talking about some of these guys.
Absolutely. I'd love to get you on too. We'll see what we can do with our player spotlights. Love to have you come in and talk to the kids. I think it'd be great. But we'll catch up. We'll see you Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
And looking forward.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it, man. And so, any last words for the players out there?
No, I'm looking for finish the fall up strong, and then get to training.
Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. You pitchers, keep throwing strikes. You hitters, hit them where they ain't, and we will see you next time.